This is the barbecue item I got asked about most often when I had my catering business full time. If you want to know exactly what it is and how to cook it, stick around. Hey guys, welcome to Mad Scientist Barbecue. I'm Jeremy Yoder, and today we're talking about the lowly chicken thigh. I'm talking skin on, bone in, the cheapest chicken you can buy at the store. I used to buy 40-pound boxes for $24.99. I don't know if they've come up in prices, everything else is. But even from a regular grocery store, these Heritage Farm fancy chicken thighs were 10 bucks for 5 pounds of meat. So $2 a pound, that's pretty good. Now, I used to do barbecue pop-ups and I would have contingency plans because if I thought I could sell 10 briskets, I wouldn't cook 20 and just hope I sell the other 10. So that's a lot of money going down the drain. So what I would do is I would cook as many briskets as I thought I would definitely sell. And then I would do the same thing for ribs, and then I'd cook maybe a little bit more pork than I thought I would sell, but it's relatively inexpensive. It's not a huge deal. And then, as the backup of all backup plans, I would get boxes, 40 pounds at a time, of chicken thighs, bone in, skin on, because my reasoning was I can still sell food if I have something that I can cook fast enough that, you know, if it looks like I'm running out of food, throw it in the smoker. And then I would use the smoker as a warmer when I was doing these barbecue pop-ups. And so I'd keep the smoker maybe 200 degrees because I would be opening and closing the doors all the time because I'd pull out a brisket and slice it. And these were at the far end, nearest the stack, the coolest part of that 500-gallon pit. And so after about 2.5 hours in the smoker at these pop-ups, then I would run out of all the other food. And so I would think, oh no, I gotta get this chicken ready to go as soon as possible. So I'd crank up the smoker to like 325 degrees. And at that point, the skin would get crispy. These would come to a final temperature of usually about 200 degrees. And then I'd paint some sauce on there and I would serve them. And then at the end of the night, it didn't matter if it was somebody who came for the first time or if it was a regular, they would always come and ask me about the chicken. Regulars would come up and say, hey, the brisket was great, you know, the ribs are awesome, but what did you do to that chicken? Like, how did you make it? Why is it so good? And then people who might come for the first time would say, hey, look, I had some of the chicken and it was absolutely fabulous. I don't know what your secret is, but it's incredible. Don't share that with anybody. The secret is, there was no secret at all. It was just pure neglect. I just stumbled by chance into a method that I thought made really good chicken thighs. And so at the end of the first night I did this, I tried one. I was like, what in the world are they talking about? It's salt and pepper and just like being ignored. So I took one, took a bite, and I immediately understood what they were talking about. It was smoky, it was juicy, it was cheap. And when it comes to chicken, you don't often get super juicy, super tender chicken. It's just not something that happens very often. Breasts, you want to make sure you don't overcook so they don't get super tender. And if you're doing whole birds, you, again, don't want the breast to overcook. So that limits the top temperature of other parts of the meat. But when you have only dark meat, like these chicken thighs, and there's a bone in there, and you have the skin on to protect it, it can be so juicy and so flavorful that you won't even realize that you're eating chicken. So, these chicken thighs, you don't have to get any kind of special chicken at all. You can just get commodity chicken thighs. It'll be the cheapest meat at your grocery store in all likelihood. Skin on because it protects the meat, and bone in because then it's not flayed open and it has a tendency to dry out. So you actually want the cheaper option because you can get skin removed, you can get boneless chicken thighs, and they're never as good. Skin on, bone in chicken thighs. Sounds crazy, but this will be one of the best things you make all year. So, you may ask, how did I prep them? Almost not at all. I would take them and put them on a cutting board and sprinkle salt and pepper, a 50-50 mix, so it's 50-50 by volume. I get that question all the time. So half 16 mesh black pepper and half diamond crystal kosher salt. And I would season both sides generously, and I'd throw them in the smoker and wait. They would sit at probably 200 to 225 degrees for something along the lines of 90 minutes to 2 hours or something like that. It just depended on how long it was before I ran out of food. At that point, dial up the temperature, get this thing smoking hot, and we're going to try to render that skin, or render the fat rather, underneath the skin. And one of the reasons why cooking chicken thighs is so special is because it's dark meat. And you might not think about this, and we definitely don't think about this when we're talking about beef, but the amount of myoglobin in the meat has an effect both on the flavor and the perceived moisture when you take a bite of it. So, myoglobin gives the darker color to dark meat chicken, so it has more myoglobin. Why do you think red meat is red? Because it has tons and tons of myoglobin. It's from heavily working muscles. So Darker meat is generally going to be more flavorful. I'm not saying that the flavor is necessarily better or worse, but there will be more flavor there. So let's get these out of the package. Let's haphazardly throw salt and pepper on them, and then throw them in the smoker at a relatively low temperature of 200 to 225, and we can kind of walk away. So 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later, you come back, throw another log on. The whole point right now is we want great smoke flavor, and we want to get good color, but the beauty of it is you don't have to pay a lot of attention. There aren't a lot of moving parts. It's so simple. Let's do it. These are the complete opposite of competition chicken thighs. Because competition chicken thighs, you'll scrape underneath the skin and you'll trim the skin to be the perfect size, and you'll make sure that you cup the chicken thigh to be the perfect shape, and all of those things. There's nothing wrong with that. Those are really, really, really good. But that's not the point of cooking this way. This is, hey, we got dinner in 90 minutes. Can we make something that's delicious and smoky for everybody? Yeah, you know what? As a matter of fact, you can. So, actually, I've done more prep work on these than I would usually do. Usually I just throw them on the table, hit them with salt and pepper, and you guys can see how careful I am about applying it here. You have to just apply it without caring. If you're caring at this point, you're doing it wrong. The whole purpose is that it really couldn't be any easier. Oh dang, I am gonna trim off this dark piece. All right, I broke the rule, I trimmed. Now it's time to put them on the smoker. This is the Solution Offset Smoker, made in the United States, 1/4 inch thick steel, $24.99. We can build you one in 7 days. So if you're interested, check out the website, madscientistbbq.com. Otherwise, let's keep going. If I'm being true to form, it would have been like that. This is how they got loaded on. I'm not even kidding. And then I would go in afterward and make sure that they're not touching. Like they would just get tossed. So, toss it on. And then it would go like this. Don't touch, don't touch. Great, done. If you just want barbecue without spending a bunch of money, 10 bucks, not bad. Especially when you consider how much it would cost to go to a barbecue restaurant, or, you know, if you went out to eat anywhere else. I went to McDonald's the other day, bought a meal that was more than 5 pounds of chicken thighs. So, the McDonald's thing, I'm not proud of it, but I won't lie to you. I do go to McDonald's sometimes. All right, the smoker right now is about 175 degrees, so I'm gonna add some pecan wood and try to get it up there around 200, 225. Nothing super special. I want it smoky, but always open flame in the firebox. Throw these on, and then we'll check back in with you in probably 45 minutes. All right, guys, it's been about 1 hour and 5 minutes. We are already starting to get great color. Let's take a look at these chicken thighs. We're gonna temp them, and then I'll show you what's next in this cooking process. All right, the whole time we've been cooking with the skin side facing up, because on the Solution, like big offsets like 500,000 gallon pits, the heat comes from the top. But that's because we're using our Solution scoop. I'm gonna take all these chicken thighs, put them skin side down on the grate next to the firebox. I'm gonna remove the Solution scoop, or maybe just move it to the middle of the chamber. And that way it's getting direct radiant heat, so we can really render that skin by the time these get to the final temperature of 185 plus. So we're looking for probably in the 190s. All right, at this point, we're going clean smoke because we already added all the smoke flavor we need. I'm gonna add some wood to the fire. I'm gonna open up the damper. We're going maximum airflow, 325 degrees, so we can crisp the skin as much as possible. We're just over 90 minutes in. Let's do what I think is going to be the final check. Great. Perfect. For those of you who are a little bit worried, you saw those temperatures of 200, 202, and you're worried that these are going to get dried out. Normally I wouldn't do this, but for demonstration purposes. All right, it was cheap, about 10 bucks. It was fast, a little over 90 minutes. And we're about to find out if it's good. If you want to get the skin crispier, you'd have to go like actual direct heat, like over a grill or something like that. But the whole point was something that is ridiculously easy. Now you can glaze these. So when I was doing the catering business, I would glaze these in slightly diluted Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. I'd add vinegar, apple cider vinegar, to Sweet Baby Ray's until it got kind of a runnier consistency, and I just dunked these in because I was doing, you know, like 80 of them at a time. And then I put them back on the cooker to glaze up. What you guys can see right here is we got some bubbling under the skin, so we were able to get it reasonably crisp when we moved the solution scoop, so we're able to get that direct radiant heat. And if you listen carefully, it's crisper. Let's see how good it is. It's still hot. Internal temp, yeah, still 180. I don't want to take a bite of this if it's too hot, because otherwise I won't be able to taste anything for a week. But I got to take a bite now. As you guys can also see, it's just still dripping juice on its own. Let's see. Ridiculously good. And it would be difficult to try less. The principles apply the exact same way if you're using a pellet grill or if you're using a Weber kettle or anything. Low and smoky to start off, 200, 225, then bump up to like 325, direct heat if you can, maybe even 350. Just make sure it doesn't burn. But yeah, this is just, it's hard to argue with this. So we're not going to get competition crisp on this skin, but definitely bite through. Man, that's good. So juicy, so flavorful, and so darn cheap and easy. This doesn't get a lot of glory, but it should. If you guys have never tried this at home, please try it at home. What have you got to lose? We had $10 worth of chicken, so 5 pounds of chicken, and probably use 7-8 splits over the course of the whole thing. That includes starting the fire, running the fire, ramping up the fire at the end. So good. And by not trimming the skin, you get a little bit of crispy skin overhang. It's kind of like a crackling a little bit. It kind of crunches. Man, that's so good. We've broken down the connective tissue. I should tell you one fact as I eat each bite. We've rendered the fat in there so it's nice and juicy. We exposed enough of the surface to be nice and smoky. The bone and skin protected the inside to keep all the juice in there. Oh, I dropped a piece. But for you guys to get a sense here. So it's not drowning in fat. It's just really juicy, really flavorful. So good. Every time it shocks me how good these are. Now, one of the things I say all the time when people say, how did you get so good at barbecue, is you don't really have to be all that good. All you have to be is patient. With these, you don't even have to be patient. So you don't have to be rich or patient or particularly skilled. If you can follow some basic steps, you can make killer food for not a lot of money that a lot of people are going to be able to enjoy. So please get out there and try it. I think you're going to be glad that you did. Thank you guys for watching. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel. If you want more fun and informative barbecue content, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, X, and on Patreon at Mad Scientist Barbecue. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.